Hey everyone, Kylie here and welcome to my plan with me for February. So January sort of was a bit of a blink and you missed it. I really didn't get nearly as much done as I would have hoped to have gotten done, but I think that's the story of my life. I really don't think I ever get as much done as I believe I should do or as I plan to do, and I'm sure that's got to do with the perfectionism. And look, there's a whole heap of other stuff that it has to do with that I think I'll just leave that all alone and we'll just move on to talking about my bullet journal. Yeah, it's been a month. Anyway, so this little pattern, I've been doing it a little bit as part of like my morning practice. So not as much as I've been doing sort of the other line work that I did last month, but it has made an appearance a few times and I enjoy it because it's just a little bit free-flowing. So with this, I did pencil out like some space, particularly on the right-hand side. I sort of penciled out a little bit more of making sure that it would fit underneath the circle, because I have realised that I can underestimate the amount of space. I'll draw a line and then forget that I have to put a flower on the end of it and go, well, that's not getting a flower on the end of it, clearly. So on the left-hand side, this is one of the things I've taken to doing is just sort of drawing like lines with bubbles, and the bubbles mean that I know I've got enough space to put a flower. And I don't always end up putting a flower there, but it means I know that I've got the space to do it. So it's quite a fun little pattern to do. It's quite, again, a bit of a Zen process, but it does create some nice little, some nice little designs, and it's quite fun to do. I also very seldom colour them in. It is normally something that ends up more of a black and white sort of piece of work, and I do paint in the February side of this, but I sort of keep this side the same black and white. And yeah, I quite enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And I feel it goes in a little bit with the flowiness, and I don't know how to explain the song that I've chosen to do lyrics from for this month, which you'll see on the next page, but I just feel that it's got a bit of a flow to it that matches that music. But yeah, we'll reveal that in a second. But yeah, so I'm getting back into work, getting back into client work. I mean, I didn't get as much of a reprieve from it as I would have hoped, but it's all starting to kick off a little bit in earnest as all Australians really get back to work a lot more. So the song that I've chosen is Antony and the Johnsons, Hope There's Someone. And if any of you have not heard this, then please be prepared with tissues. That entire album just completely destroys me. It's absolutely gorgeous. And Oni's voice is just spectacular. She is an amazing performer. And I still can't believe that we actually got to see her perform down here in Little Tasmania. Mona is a wonderful institution with some of the people that it gets down here to perform, but she is just spectacular. But anyway, the lines I chose were, hope there's someone who'll set my heart free, nice to hold when I'm tired. And this little spirally line that I'm doing around the outside of that, I wanted to sort of explain to you what that is. I don't really sort of talk about this other thing that I do, which lends itself a little bit to like my graphic scribing and that sort of thing. But basically, some mornings when I get up and I don't really feel like doing any sort of structured work at all, so I don't really feel like creating proper patterns and doing all of those sorts of things. What I do is I put on a piece of music that I love. So there's, I have a few go-to songs for this sort of thing, and they're normally quite sort of a little bit on the slower melodic sort of scale. Sometimes they're a little bit more upbeat, but And then I just grab a piece of paper and a pen and I just let myself free draw. And when I do that with anything that Antony sings, it ends up as that sort of short, spirally, like sort of just flowy pattern, which is why I decided I would include that in my quote, because it's a shape and a pattern that I associate with her music. And, you know, for other people, they're much more sweepy. For other people, it might be more spiraled. Some of them are a little bit squarer and sharper. But, yeah, that's the shape that I associate with her music and her voice. So I included it in there. Now, I believe I was going out and letting my dog outside during that gap. But I decided I'd just include other florals. As you can see, I've kept the same structure that I used last month. It actually did work well for me. Now, it might be a bit of a falseness because I didn't have a lot of client work, so I wasn't really using the task list as much as I will generally do. But I think it worked really quite well for me. So I've kept this same layout, and this just gives me small spaces to create some work. Of course, because the rest of this week is a short week for February, so I get space to add in some of the line work type things that I've been doing. I really quite like those flowers. They're quite cute. And that line work has been really developing for me. So there's some much larger pieces that I've been creating, and it's interesting to see how that's growing and changing, and what I will create with that will be interesting to see. So, yeah, it's in there. And I really encourage people to, if you do any sort of illustration work or you want to improve your drawing at all, one of the key things when you draw is confidence with the tools that you use to draw. So having really strong lines, being committed to those lines, and they're very confident lines, and it really shows when you're drawing that you have confidence in what you're putting down on paper. And doing that line work has improved my line quality just in the other stuff that I do as well. It improves your ability to know where the line is going and just trust that your hand is going to take you there. There's a lot of things that it does that I just think that practice is quite good. So you don't have to create the same sort of patterns that I created. It can just be any sort of like, even just creating Zentangle patterns or doing that sort of thing, drawing circles, drawing lines, anything where you're just creating a little bit of structure and just constantly putting more muscle memory around your line work just makes it better. You know, practice just generally improves things. We know this. But yeah, and they're fun things to do because there's no pressure on what they will look like and how they will come out, because they're just patterns. There's nothing else to it. So I hope that your January has been good and that you've started the year how you wish to start it. So whether that's being relaxed, being productive, being social, being creative, whatever it is you were trying to achieve in the first month of this year, I hope that you managed to do it. I think we're past the point where we believe that just because the number ticks over at the end of the date, things should dramatically change for us because, you know, yes, they're nice milestones. It gives us a chance to reflect and plan on how we might improve the things we wish to improve. But at the end of the day, it's a date and nothing really changes. I know. I'm in a mood. Can you tell? Anyway, look, I hope that it has been what you want it to be. I hope that February treats you well and that, yeah, if this year hasn't started brilliantly, that improves for you in February. And if it has started brilliantly, that continues for you. But yeah, anyway, one thing that I did quickly want to say, in my layout for January, I included a doodle page. That really didn't work for me. Now, that's potentially because I wasn't spending a lot of time at my desk, not doing a lot of, didn't have a lot of time where I needed to sort of visualize concepts and those sorts of things. But what I've done is I've taken it out for this month, and I'm just going to, because I always end up with a half dozen pages at the end of a journal, so I'm just going to put it in the back and see how I feel about it and I might bring it back in if it does end up working for me, but it's not there. Anyway, this is my layout for February. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope to see you back here again in March for whatever I decide to do for March. And I really thank you for watching my videos, and I hope you have a nice month. Bye.